Hello and welcome to our first lesson on music theory.
It's wonderful to be here, Chaff.
Ditto, Dr. Johnson.
I thought we could get started today by talking about tools. Every job needs the right tool.
I agree.
A hammer makes a great screwdriver sometimes, but with a screwdriver we can get the job done much more easily. In music, we have tools also. And what do you think that most important tool might be?
I'm going to guess the piano because I know today's topic.
Yes, the piano can be an amazing tool for all musicians, regardless of level.
Yeah, I agree. And all musicians, meaning I, for instance, am a drummer, but I use the piano all the time for composing, for hearing a bass line against a melody line, for testing out chords. It's a really handy tool that all music majors need to be proficient with.
I agree. And so we're going to start off just by introducing the piano keyboard so we can get around the piano, we know where the notes are, and we can become familiar with where the pitches are on the piano, and then we can start to build different structures, chord structures, melodies, etc. So shall we get started with that?
Let's do.
Okay. Well, you'll notice on the piano keyboard there's a series of white notes and black notes. And the black notes are arranged in a particular order. We have groups of 2 and groups of 3 black notes.
Yeah, and this applies to all keyboard instruments, obviously. So harpsichord, piano, marimba, xylophone, accordion, all the keyboard instruments.
Yes, and so once you learn one, you've learned them all.
The cool thing about this system is the sets of 2 and 3 black keys efficiently serve as landmarks for the musician. So you could imagine if all those black keys were gone and you could only see the white keys, then it's very difficult or impossible to know which keys you're on. By putting in those landmarks, then you can tell exactly which white key you're playing, depending on how they relate to the black keys.
Yes, and our 2 most important landmarks are the notes C, which is just to the left of the group of 2 black notes, and the note F, which is just to the left of the group of 3 black notes.
Yeah, and if you can keep in mind those 2 keys, left of the 2 black notes is the C, left of the 3 black notes is the F, and if you can get the 2 notes next to those, which are alphabetical, so right next to the C on the low end you have B, right next to the C on the high end you have D, right next to the F on the low end E, right next to the F on the high end G. This is all just alphabetical. You have 6 out of 7 of the notes just based on those 2 landmarks along with the notes next to them alphabetically.
Yes, and I think that leads us to our musical alphabet.
Yeah, we can't forget letter A though, which doesn't show up next to those 2.
Yes, letter A, of course, begins our musical alphabet, just like our written and spoken alphabet, our English alphabet. And the alphabet that we use in music is a 7-letter alphabet, A through G.
At least in America.
At least in America.
We're not talking any Europeans. So the A, you may notice the A is not next to one of those 2 landmarks that we just talked about. The way you find the A is go to the 3 black keys, and it's between the 2 on the right side, which you can see up there.
And that begins our musical alphabet. So every white note from that point moving to the right or getting higher on the keyboard, we're going to go up 1 letter name. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we repeat at A again, and that continues all the way up the keyboard, up and down, of course.
Correct. So that's how we name all the white keys. When we want to name the black keys, it's a very simple process, and we're not going to get into double sharps and double flats today. That'll be for another lesson. But just simple naming of the black keys. If you go up this way, you're going to get a sharp, and if you go down that way from the white key, you get to a flat. So, for instance, if we take A, if we go up a half step from A to the black key right next to it on this side, we get A sharp. We go down from A, we get A flat. And you can do that from any of the letters going up or down to the black keys just by adding a sharp or a flat.
Yes, and then you'll also notice that each black key can have 2 different names, depending on how we're approaching that black key. So if we start on our A and go down a half step, we land on A flat. But if we start on G and go up a half step, that same note is spelled G sharp, just with a different accidental. You'll notice there are only two pairs of white notes that have a half step between each of the two notes.
By half step, he means there's no black key in between them.
Correct. There's no intervening black key between the two white notes. Between all of the other white notes, there is an intervening black key. So if we go 2 half steps up, we go a whole step up. Likewise, if we go 2 half steps down, we go a whole step down.
And you can see here, here are all the pairs of white keys that are a whole step apart. And here, where you have a half step between 2 white keys, then you need to add another half step, which will include a black key, to get from, say, E to F sharp. E to F sharp is a whole step, the same way that C to D is a whole step, because they're each 2 half steps.
Okay. Is that good for whole step, half step?
I believe so.
Okay.